Hello everyone, and welcome to my Days of Our Lives official. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Rafe visits Gabi's room after calling Jada to let her know he's getting out of the hospital. He wakes her from a dream in which Stefan is pleading with her to return to him. Gabi is overjoyed to discover that Rafe is well enough to return home after gaining her bearings. However, she feels like a complete idiot for employing the insane person who stabbed him. He gives her the reassurance that not only couldn't she have known, but that Connie is imprisoned and won't harm anyone, including Stefan. Gabi asserts that she is unconcerned with his fate. EJ arrives at the vacant bistro while Stefan is using his laptop. After telling Mayor Price that he was engaged in taking Nicole's baby, EJ notifies his brother that he is suing him for defamation. He needs to be paid because it will harm his reputation and future employment opportunities. Stefan reminds EJ that he acknowledged assisting Sloan in hiding Jude's abduction. Thus, the facts are in his favor. When it becomes out that he slept with Stefan's wife, EJ questions who will care about the truth. After Felicity leaves Sweet Bits for work, Aaron joins her on the square. When he tries to take a candy she's holding for Mark, she playfully smacks his hand away. They praise Mark for being a wonderful brother and looking out for them. They believe their folks would be pleased. Aaron tells Felicity that he and Mark are always there for her, even though he understands that losing them was particularly difficult for her. Felicity scolds Aaron with a finger at a table in the square while he grabs for a bag of Sweet Bits. Abigail bemoans the suffering she's causing Chad in the park by acting as though they still know each other. Mark is also troubled, but what other option is there? Abigail asserts that none exist. If she doesn't bring Chad to the altar, their mother will die. Mark claims that lying to Aaron and Felicity is the most difficult aspect. Abigail finds solace in the knowledge that their mother is still alive once it's all over. Julie informs Chad that Charlotte was rummaging through the box containing his and Abigail's keepsakes at the Horton house. She breaks down in tears as she describes how Charlotte begged to speak with her mother. Though her mother lives just across town, Julie had to convince her that she was in heaven. It's high time he informed his kids that their mother still lives. Chad clarifies that because Abigail can't remember them, she worries that it will be too painful for them. Julie notes that it would be best to come from their father because anyone in Salem could tell the children. Chad concurs. EJ idly looks at his watch in the bistro while Stefan looks through papers in a file. EJ glibly threatens the intruder to submit a not-so-blind piece about his and Gabi's passionate night out in the bistro. A jury will view Stefan as a cuckolded husband seeking retribution after that is printed. But if Stefan signs an affidavit declaring that all of the things he said about him were untrue, he won't bring the lawsuit. Stefan signs it with reluctance. EJ affirms that although he and Gabi only shared a single bed, she did return again. But out of respect for him, he declined her. However, he is skeptical that Stefan will ever be able to move past their one encounter. He laughs smugly and asks, "Am I right?" Rafe informs Gabi at the hospital that Jada told him that Stefan had cheated on her. He is aware of Stefan's hurtful actions, but he questions whether she is exaggerating the situation and is capable of forgiving him. Rafe tells Gabi that he doesn't want her to do anything that she can't undo, and she becomes enraged. She acknowledges that having an affair with EJ might have made things worse. You what? She claims that Connie gave her the notion to exact revenge on Stefan, which at the time didn't seem like awful counsel. Spending the night with your husband's brother, the man who sentenced you to prison, didn't seem like a bad idea. Rafe looks at me skeptically. Gabi was unable to shake the picture of Stefan and Ava from her thoughts. She believes she won't ever be able to. Rafe departs after the siblings share a heartfelt kiss. Rafe sits by Gabi's hospital bedside, dressed in a hospital gown. He looks at her with a gap in his eyebrows. In the park, Felicity and Aaron approach Mark and Abigail. Abigail is introduced by Mark as one of his patients. Felicity believes she recognizes her. With a shaky voice, Abigail tells her they haven't met. The teenagers depart after Mark promises his brothers they will get together for dinner later. With tears in her eyes, Abigail finds it hard to comprehend that her siblings haven't recognized her in a long time. She obviously looks radically different now that she had plastic surgery, but she still misses them. Chad calls and invites her to come to the house. Mark is by himself in the park when he glances at a picture of a mother carrying a child on his phone. "Don't worry, Mom, we'll get you out of this," he says. He assures her they will rescue her. When Felicity and Aaron get back, Felicity remarks once more that Abigail looked familiar. Chad promises to tell the kids the truth when Abigail visits the house. "Tell them their mother is still alive, is what I want." Rafe phones EJ from the hospital lobby, cautioning him not to approach Gabby and to avoid her marriage. "Does that pose a risk, Commissioner?" EJ jokes. "Go to hell," replies Rafe. EJ hangs up, gloating at their impending nuptials. Gabby is visited by Stefan at the hospital. Let her know that he had just had a conversation with his attorney. "I'm requesting a divorce." Abigail DiMera has been dealing with some growing guilt about what she's doing to Chad DiMera, according to spoilers for Days of Our Lives. It's been difficult to watch Abigail get all worked up about his late wife's return since, deep down, she is falling for Chad. Although Abigail realizes she is putting Chad through a terrible deal of disappointment, she still doesn't want to hurt him. Naturally, Abigail will feel even more guilty for involving the children in this. That will be one of the reasons Abigail wishes to travel to Paris. Nevertheless, there will also be a romantic motivation to win Chad over. Days teasers suggest that Abigail will ask Chad to marry her while they're there, so it looks like these two are getting ready for a quick remarriage ceremony. But there's one part of Clyde Weston's scheme that Abigail will undoubtedly not permit. When Abigail receives information, she will get alarmed because Clyde would pressure Mark Green to kill Chad by acting as a hitman. Abigail might counter that their mother would never want them to go so far, even if Mark feels he must do it for their mother's sake. Deceiving Chad is one thing, but robbing him of his life and leaving his kids as orphans is quite another. According to previews for Days, Abigail might finally come to the conclusion that Clyde won't give up, at which point she might take the last possible action to save Chad's life. Will Abigail turn against Chad and make a complete confession? Could Abby acknowledge the entire plot, blaming her mother for being the hostage, and ask for assistance in stopping Clyde? When Chad finally discovers that Abigail isn't the real deal, he will be enraged, but he also despises Clyde and is well aware of his methods. Even while Chad wouldn't just overlook and forgive Abigail's part in all of this, he could consent to work with her on a scheme to bring down Clyde. Watchers of Days are aware of Chad's penchant for retaliation against Clyde. Eventually, Abigail might open up to Chad and beg him to help her mom get free, which would take away Clyde's power. It might be Abigail's only known means of ensuring the survival of both Chad and her mother. If Abby chose to come clean and turn Chad into a reluctant ally rather than a target, that would be a fascinating wrinkle in the DOL story. Even if Chad might not want to see Abigail again, he might come to the conclusion that he despises Clyde too much and cannot allow him to get away with such a heinous scheme. According to spoilers for Days of Our Lives, Abigail will eventually have to face the truth, so we'll let you know when we think it will happen.